Let's see, is the record button on? Yeah. Okay. All right, we called the meeting to order at 6:42. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda and the minutes or make any changes? Go ahead.
I'm Dan Cohen.
Hi, Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Liz. All right. First off, we're gonna go ahead and start the parks announcements, but before that, I need a volunteer to take the minutes for today's meeting. Is there a committee member who will volunteer to take the minutes today?
I'll take the minutes today.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll make sure that we'll get you the recording so that you can, that will assist you. Thank you so much for doing that. So we'll go ahead. The agenda should be in front of everyone. Are there any changes or updates to the agenda? I did make one correction. I did add the speakers for the micromobility pilot program.
Did you just announce the speakers for the micromobility?
Yes, I just made a correction to the agenda because I did add the speakers for the micromobility program.
Oh, got it. Sorry to interrupt. I had just logged in. This is Sarah from Parks, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm exactly on time, but looks like I'm a few minutes early. Sorry about that.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and order. Is Leslie Wright on yet? Or Mallory Craig?
Mallory's here.
Okay, Mallory, you can go ahead with your updates. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm over here at Riverbank State Park where we just got done a class, recipes and rituals for community care. I'm over at the greenhouse at Riverbank State Park, and we're well into our fall season. So I'd love to invite anyone who wants to join us into our public programming. We have free evening as well as Saturday and Sunday classes. We're open 7 days a week. Spread the word, and we're also accepting field trips right now. So if you know any schools, within this zip code, we can actually, any schools within your area, we are able to offer free field trips to through community or city council funding. So if you'd like to get in touch with me to book a field trip, a free field trip, I've been reaching out to parent coordinators, but let me know if you'd like to have a field trip here. We also have our youth internship program starting in late October, and we're doing some recruitment for that. We're going to be hosting young people on Friday afternoons, 3 to 5 p.m. to do some cooking and gardening, and kind of organizing around the garden and engaging with our community here, and fall harvest and giving away free market bags. We also have a few events coming up. So we're taking part in the City of Forest event, which is happening citywide across all boroughs. And that'll be on October 21st here at Riverbank State Park from 12 to 3 at the greenhouse. We'll be having lots of, we have an artist making some herbariums with us. We have a guided walk talking about street trees and how they can ground us and reduce stress with some educators here. And then we're also having our Harvest Festival. Actually is going to be November 4th, on Saturday, November 4th. And we're doing it in the morning. So we're going to have a pumpkin pancake harvest festival. So I know there's lots of awesome things actually going on in the afternoon on November 4th. So before you make your way through all the events and all the harvest festivals in the city, you're welcome to come and have a pumpkin pancake breakfast with us. We'll have a scarecrow build, lots of art activities. Yeah, and in the meantime, we have evening programming. Tomorrow's our art night. So stop through, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mallory. Does anyone have any questions for Mallory? At the greenhouse at Riverbank State Park? And Mallory,
Yes.
could you just quickly repeat what your hours are?
Yeah, so we're open 7 days a week. And that's generally 10 to 4. We do have some school field trips in which, are Wednesday through Friday. Sometimes we have kind of special events. For example, we had like a certificate program today. And if that's the case, we'll always just kind of put a Post-it note on our door and let you know that the garden is open and maybe the greenhouse is full of people. But we're open 7 days a week, at least 10 to 4. And if we have a field trip, then we'll welcome you into a different space.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Okay, Matt, are you on for representing New York City Parks?
I am here.
Oh,
So
great, Matt. Good to see you.
good to see you guys too. Sorry I missed the meeting last month. A few announcements. There's a movie night coming up at Jacob's Ship not this Friday, but next Friday, October 13th. I'll make sure to send the flyer around to MCB9 so that can be distributed. The movie will start somewhere around 7 when it starts getting when dusk starts to roll in. St. Nicholas Park, we should be construction should start sometime this month or later this fall for the state of good repair construction on the pathways that was presented on last year. So that work will start. So we'll have some brand new pathways north of the 135th Plaza on the lower path, and then north of the dog run on the upper path. And with all just a couple things, with all the heavy rain that we've had this past previous weekend and past week, we did have a couple trees fall in St. Nicholas Park on the 135th lawn, which forestry is aware of, and once things dry out, they'll get equipment on to remove that. And then there was also a tree that fell down in Morningside Park near the dog run, which I believe that one has been taken care of already because it was blocking the pathway. Yeah, we're just getting ready for fall here as we are going to be raking a lot of leaves here soon. So that's all of my announcements that I have for now. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Matt, for updating us about the trees. I was going to ask about that. It's so sad that that tree fell in St. Nicholas Park. And with the closure of the pathways in St. Nicholas Park, will that mean that folks won't be able to walk those around the pathways? Will that be closed, or how will that work?
Yeah, so those pathways will be closed during construction. So basically from north of the dog run from 136th to the Hamilton House, and then from 135th over to Arlington Edinburgh Playground will be closed. The playground, Arlington Edinburgh Playground, will still be open, but the pathways will be closed. I still have to meet with the contractor on site to look to see where all of their construction fence is going. And then once that happens, work will be underway. But this is the project, since it's a state of good repair project, it won't take nearly as long as a capital project, which normally lasts a year. I don't know the exact timing on it, but it should be only take a month or two. But if I get more updates on timing, I'll definitely let the board know.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for New York City Parks? Any questions, updates, New York City Parks?
I know Wesley Hamilton too is on the call too, so he can update for Riverside. Sorry, my phone is ringing.
Yeah, he's coming up next. So we'll go ahead to Wesley Hamilton then for Riverside Park and any updates on West Harlem Piers Park.
Sure. Hi, everyone. How you doing? I'm Wesley Hamilton with New York City Parks, Riverside and West Harlem Piers. We don't have a lot of updates at this time, although, we're glad to see the sun back out and we're getting ready for fall. Our crews are preparing for the fall and the winter seasons. We do have an event coming up soon at the Little Red Lighthouse. On Saturday, we'll be giving tours of the lighthouse. And many of you may be familiar with it, but it's a great event to bring your kids out and see the lighthouse. It's a little further in your district, but you come in at 155 and you can go up to Fort Washington just underneath the bridge, and it's a little red lighthouse. Maybe I'll let Stephanie give you more details about that. I don't want to take your thunder away there, but we hope that people can come out to that. With 142 Dog Run, I've checked with the capital team, so we are receiving bids for the project coming up to restore or redo the Dog Run. So we're looking forward to that. We haven't selected a bidder yet. But basically, it's on pace, and we're receiving bids and from experienced contractors. So we're happy with that and seeing it moving forward.
Did we lose Wesley?
It looks like he's coming back on. We might need to give him a there, but I see that he's back on there.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Wes, can you hear us? You are on mute.
Hey, did I frozen? Did I lose? Am I still there?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay. I don't know where I got. I don't remember there.
Wes, you're breaking up a bit.
Yeah, turn off your video, Wesley, and maybe that might help your bandwidth. Try to turn off
How's
your
that?
video.
That's a little better. Yeah. Well, Wesley, I think the last bit we got was that the Dog Run is getting some bids for the project. So if there's any other updates, you just want to add it to the chat.
Oh, if you can hear me, that's right where I left off. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, can you just give the approximate location of the Dog Run?
I'm sorry. So it's we call it 142 Dog Run, which is Riverside Drive and West 142nd Street. Am I here or am I frozen?
No, you're good. Yeah, we got it.
Okay, I can't tell. Sorry about my connection. But so, any questions for Riverside Park?
And then can you provide the location for the Little Red White House?
That is actually Fort Washington Park. It's actually underneath the George Washington Bridge. I would say it's approximately West 181st Street. But the most way to entrance to the park is either coming in north from the Henry Hudson, coming in way north off of the bike path, or to come in at 155 West 155 is access to that area, and then walk north.
Excellent, great.
And with that, maybe Stephanie might have some more information if she wants to give on that. But
Thanks so much, Wes.
Do you have any updates for the West Harlem Pierce Park, Wesley?
nothing at this time. We don't know nothing new. I'm sorry for West Harlem Piers at this time.
Okay, any updates on comfort stations or anything like that?
No, sorry, not right now. I mean, 142, our conversation's open. I know that's been an issue in the past. They're currently right now. We I don't know. There may be some information coming out later this week, but not for me to still the light in there, and I don't have all the details on that. So we'll update you once that becomes official.
Okay, and then we'll discuss that a little bit during the ask for the budgeting process. Okay, Wesley, any
Okay.
other questions? Okay, Stephanie, you're up. Oh, wait, we have a question. Wait a minute, Ira. Go ahead,
I think
Ira.
yeah.
Hi,
Go
I had
ahead,
a question for Wesley about West Olympia's Park. It looked like there were some porta stands there or portable toilets, kind of on the northern end of the park. And are they for public use?
Hi, Ira. How you doing? Yes, actually, I believe it was sometime when we last met here with the community board that it was recommended that we try to do some porta potties at West Harlem Pier because of there wasn't any restrooms near when we have events. So we did try that. They are open to the public. Um, they may not. I didn't want to bring that up because we may not have them going through the winter. The main thought was to have them there during our the season, but I'm happy to say that we tried it and we didn't really have any issues. We were concerned with a lot of issues, maybe like homeless people or being damaged or getting turned over or even getting flipped into the water. So, but based upon the community board's recommendations, we gave it a shot and kind of on a trial test plan, and then it seems to be helping. People have been using it and respecting the porta potties.
Thank you very
We may
much.
be we may be removing them soon, but just because of budget reasons, just because is the need still there as we move later into the winter? But we'll be looking into doing it again next spring.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Again, everyone, please sign your name into the chat and your email address too if you did not receive an invite from me personally this time. It's important that we keep accurate attendance records of not only our committee members, but also our community members and our presenters, just so that you get credit for being here. Some people require us to sign a notification that they were here. So please, everyone, sign into the chat. Okay, I think you're up now, Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ira, for the question, and thanks, Wes, for the updates. Yes, Little Red Lighthouse Festival. God forbid if it's not raining. But that is happening this Saturday from 12 to 4. Thanks, Wes, for also mentioning the 142nd Street Dog Run. They've been doing a really lovely job with their temporary dog run, so really excited about the bidders. But they have their monthly rake out happening on October 28th. It's just a really fun time to meet community members and also rake, and it's a really good workout. But it's us raking out the wood chips so that the wood chips don't sprawl out onto the street, which I know has been a problem. So we've been doing that monthly for the past 3 months. It's been going really well. It's My Park Day is coming up on October 21st, which is a Saturday. I believe we have an event. We do have an event, but I believe it starts at 10 o'clock. And it's a chance for community members to help steward the park, especially with our longtime and long-term commitment volunteers who we call park tenders. So we will assign you with a park tender or a volunteer, and you'll get to beautify their garden beds that they have so lovingly taken care of for the past however many years that they've been with us at Riverside. We have many volunteers who've been with us for decades. So that's really exciting. That's on October 21st. The 148th Street staircase is closed. I just wanted to make everyone aware. I'm not too sure how long it's being closed for. They're just repaving the paths that are going to the 10 Mile bathrooms. So 10 Mile bathroom is open on one side and closed on another side. So just wanted to make everyone aware. I think it's only happening for a few weeks. But Wes, I don't know if you had any more info on that. But before you jump in, last update is that Jenny's Garden, wanted to give a quick update. Jenny's Garden on 138th Street is a vegetable garden it's named in honor of Jenny Benitez, who passed away in 2019. For those who don't know, she was an amazing advocate and supporter of the park for over 30 years. And Jenny's Garden is thriving, and it has 20 to 30 active volunteers in that garden, and they have done 3 fall harvests where they donate all the food that they grow to Broadway Community Inc., which I believe is on 114th Street. So really excited to have done 3 full harvests where they have bags and bags and bags of cabbage, beans, carrots, onions, all the good stuff. They have seen a tremendous uptick in crime and broken fences throughout this past summer. And they've done an amazing job of working alongside with Parks and with the Conservancy of like making sure that those those damages are not damages anymore, but it's been really, really hectic for them. So really, really proud of them and for their 3 fall harvests, 3 summer harvests, excuse me. But if anyone wants to go and check them out, feel free and to give them some love. But yeah, Wes, did you have any update on the 148th Street staircase? In terms of like the paving that's going down that staircase, because the staircase is not usable at the.
Hey, Stephanie, I don't have a lot. All I know is, they're looking to repave it, do some drainage issues, repairs there. So the weather has kind of put them behind. They anticipated actually being completed by now, but I believe they're looking at next week now, just due to the weather conditions. So for that area, it should be reopened shortly. And we hope to have some more information coming up at 142 soon. But again, we will update you as that becomes official. But
For sure.
but yeah, for the paving and whatnot, we anticipate that being completed next week.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, any questions for Stephanie? I just want to add one announcement for the 142nd Street Dog Run. I didn't hear you all announce the Saturday, October 29th, the Halloween party. It's from 12 to 2 p.m. I think that's where they dress up the dogs in Halloween costumes and give a little parade or something like that. Is that correct, Stephanie?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for mentioning it. It's so cute. I kind of expected Shannon to be here, but I guess he's not.
Yeah, he's not here today.
If you have a dog and want to put them in a Halloween costume, oh, is it?
I want to flag it's the 21st of October.
I say that with you, perfection.
His flyer says that Saturday, October 29th, from 12 to 2. Sponsored by.
I'll have to double check with him.
Dog Run 142. The flyer that he sent to the community board is Saturday, October 29th, from 12 to 2 p.m. The Dog Run 142, the Halloween at the Riverside Park, and sponsorship also with Riverside Park Conservancy.
That is probably the wrong flyer. We do have October 21st down, but I'll double check with Shannon for sure. But it is October 21st at 11 a.m. and it's just a cute event where we put dogs in Halloween costumes. So if you have a dog and want to come through, feel free.
Okay, so please someone send the corrected flyer to Youth at the community board so that we can disseminate it.
For sure, I'll do that.
Okay, great. He sent me the one that said October 29th. So October 21st, everyone, starting at 11 o'clock, 11 to 1. I'm so glad I said something. Okay. Any other questions for Stephanie? All right, great. We're moving right along. Okay, Karen with Friends of St. Nicholas Park.
Hi, good evening. I'll be very brief, just a couple of mentions. Our next next monthly cleanup is on Saturday, October the 14th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we look forward to having everyone come out for that to give some nice attention to the park as we head into fall. And I also wanted to mention that we actually did a walkthrough with Matt today in connection with some volunteer projects that we have coming up with some corporate groups, but we the New York City Parks does have quite a bit of plant material that they've been able to get through a grant for the park, for the plant in St. Nicholas. So if you or anyone you know is a volunteer gardener who'd like to help, just please reach out, and we're going to try to be putting together some days to help NYC Parks get that all on the ground before it gets too late. And then we may or may not do sort of a leaf lift toward the end of October. It just depends on when the leaves fall. So just pay attention to our social media for that, and we'll publish if we're doing an event on that as well. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Friends of St. Nicholas Park for Karen?
I have a quick question. Hey, Karen, April, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
I don't know, this may be a conversation we can have offline, but I'm just curious to know, like, and I'm happy Parks is on too, what is the like outreach that Parks and NYPD and other folks do with some of the, like some of the, unfortunately, some of the unhoused folks in Santa Nicholas Park, as well as, some recent like drug activity that has been noticed? Like, what is their response with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly a topic of conversation today when we did our walkthrough with Matt, but I'll let Matt take the lead on that since his staff is really in control of that, but certainly something we pay a lot of attention to. So I'm glad you brought it up because there has been, I think, a pretty big uptick this summer.
Yeah, so good to hear from you, April. It's been a little while. But if there's activity in the park or homeless, you can report that and flag that to 311 through homeless services. We do coordinate with our PEP officers and let them know where issues are occurring. When it comes to, our PEP officers can try and offer services and then get homeless services there to provide assistance to them if they're willing to take it. If it's just regular drug use, it's really more of something that PD needs to assist with. If you have specific locations, shoot me an email. I'll send it to the corresponding precincts, which for St. Nicholas Park is the 26th precinct. And I can forward it also to our PEP officers that can, keep an eye out on those areas for their patrols and work in tandem with PD. We do have a couple homeless encampments in St. Nicholas Park that we have been regularly cleaning out throughout the summer. One is out 138th along the upper path in the natural area, and then one along the upper path at like 134th near a closed staircase that we've been pushing for funding for. So feel free to shoot me an email, April, and we'll look to see where we can address some issues.
I'll just mention this as well because I think it's relevant. So when we're getting to the budgeting this year, we continue to push and advocate on our behalf for funding and seeking funding to repair that closed set of stairs because it really is a magnet for homeless encampment and some really.
And Karen, that's coming up in the budgeting, so I hope you hold tight for that.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing out to April that it's something that's a priority for us in that process as well.
Okay, Ira, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I was asking Karen if she said that she had bulbs. And she
do you have bulbs, Karen?
We don't at the moment, but very likely and probably in November we will. So I'll give everybody an update on that. It's still pretty warm right now, but we'll definitely update people on that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yay, good to see you, Brad. Brad, you're up. Brad Taylor with Friends of Morningside Park.
Thanks, Heather. It's great to be back. Sorry I missed last month's meeting. Good to see everyone here. And it was great to see my friend Annette Robinson as co-chair of this committee now. So Annette, great to see you in that role. Welcome. Matt.
All right, thank you.
Matt mentioned some repaving in St. Nicholas. I will say that when that was done in Morningside, it was a huge improvement and difference. So, St. Nicholas can really look forward to that coming up. So I'm glad to hear about that. In terms of Morningside updates, we had to cancel, or we canceled our Common Ground Festival because of all the rain on the 23rd. Parts of it have been rescheduled. There was going to be a trashing show because we have this amazing piece of art by Susan Stair, which makes use of recycled and upcycled plastics in our park. And so she's sort of taken that theme and created a trashing show, fashion show. That show will now be at the Dwyer Cultural Center this weekend, Saturday at 3 p.m. So if you want to see some pretty interesting works of clothing and accessories, please do go by there. We always have volunteer opportunities in Morningside on Friday mornings from 9 to 11. You can see on our website when those opportunities. There's really the Friday opportunities. You can really just show up, and Ben, the gardener, will assign us to a spot in the park. We also have a regular second Saturday, so that'll be on the 14th. That's from 10 to 12. And that is a volunteer event where you sign up online, and you can do that through our website, morningsidepark.org. Other than that, we're already looking forward to coordinating and setting up our tree lighting on December 9th. So we're working with Matt on that. Really excited that we've got some new volunteers working on that with us. So things are looking good. And thank you, Matt, also for dealing with that Osage orange tree that went down in the recent rain, because that really was blocking the major north-south path on the upper level. Sorry to see that tree go, but there are other Osage orange trees in the park, always dropping their fruit all over the place. So at least we still have some.
Yep, there's no shortage of them, that's for sure.
No. So that's it for me. Really, if anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to.
Dan?
Hey, Brad, it's Dan Cohen.
Oh, I remember you.
Yes, indeed. What's happening with tree lighting? Is there going to be one unified tree lighting this December, or is there going to be two?
We have not heard anything about another tree lighting. Matt may know, but as you know, the group that does the other tree lighting really doesn't communicate with us. So we are doing our tree lighting as we always do.
I have not heard of whether the Morningside Park Conservancy is doing a tree lighting as well. I can reach out to Dimitri from our borough office, who's the one who kind of coordinates what groups are doing lightings.
Thank you, Matt. No further questions.
Ira, do you have another question? Your hand is still raised, or is it a legacy hand?
Legacy.
Legacy hand, sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right, do we have any other questions for Brad for Morningside Park? Okay, so we're moving right along to our presentations then. The first presentation that we have today is on the micromobility pilot program.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, this is Sarah Nielsen. I'm also from New York City Parks in the Planning and Environment group. And I'm joined here with my colleague, Mitchell Loring, and together we work on a lot of the Greenway related projects. And I just wanted to say, I think this is the first time I've ever come to CB9, which is weird because I've been at parks for a long time. But these updates are so great. I was just, as I was listening to everything, I was like, I got to move to CB9. There's Lighthouse and pancakes and fashion shows, and anyway, it's just there was a really terrific round of events. So maybe I'll come up and visit. All that is to say,
Sarah, do you have a do you need to share your screen? Do you have any slides?
Yeah, unfortunately, no, we don't. And Mitchell and I are weirdly both kind of en route from other meetings, so we don't have slides, but we're willing to talk to you. We wanted to just kind of give you guys an update. So I'll start, and then I think Mitchell will chime in. But we heard that there was interest in kind of what's going on with this e-bikes pilot program. So basically, over the winter, starting last fall and into the winter, there was a task force at City Hall with a whole bunch of different agencies looking at the general issue of e-mobility. And the City Hall point of view is that these e-vehicles, e-bikes and scooters, are a good thing because they're good for the environment. They're not burning fossil fuels. They help solve that kind of what we call the last mile problem, getting people to and from transit. So it was really looking at that issue, and then also how do we make it safe for everybody. And so a lot of the focus of the task force was about, and remains about, safety, around the batteries and charging. And I'm sure you heard there were some of those really tragic incidents with fires, with people charging the batteries indoors and having issues and unfortunate fatalities related to that. So there's been quite a bit of focus around that issue, and some city council legislation to work on that has already started to happen. And DOT is looking at some work in the roadways related to accommodating these vehicles. And one of the things that came up was the suggestion and sort of request that parks would accommodate e-bikes and e-scooters within parks on our drives, which is basically just Prospect Park and Central Park, and then on the approved greenways. So what we're doing right now is we are up in a pilot program. It's a 1-year program. We started it in June, so we're a couple months into it now, and we've approved for this 1 year e-bikes on the drives and on approved greenways. And we are kind of seeing how it's going. We're gathering a lot of feedback. We did a survey, kind of a start survey, which we did over the summer. And then we'll do another survey at the end of the pilot, in next spring, to kind of see how things are going. And the main thing is about, are people feeling safe? What are their concerns? So we're really trying to gather a lot of information. So we're really appreciative that you invited us here tonight to talk about this with you. I will pause there. I think, Mitchell, did you want to chime in? Did I forget any major topics?
No major topics, Sarah. I think just one point of clarity for folks that may not be as familiar with what a drive or what a greenway is, as defined by the Parks Department. A drive, like Sarah said, Central Park, the big loop there in Prospect Park are great examples. But greenways, generally what we mean by that is places where there's already signage and striping indicating that bikes should travel along this path. So it doesn't apply to every single pedestrian path across parks. It's those paths that are already designated as bike routes.
And I'll add one more thing, which is that, and one of the things that we're really working on with DOT on kind of the education about, which is that not everything that you see out there is an e-bike. There's a very specific category of electric bike, and those are, for example, the city bikes that you see that have that electric clip with them. That's the approved kind. And e-scooters that you stand up on. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of mopeds out there that are much bigger and go faster, and those, that's an issue that we're grappling with, is like how to educate that those are not allowed, but that these other ones are. And that's something that we're working with DOT to help educate. And one more thing is that we have printed up some kind of informational flyers, and we have been working with Parks PEP officers and the PD to some extent, but mostly PEP. And they've been going to the parks that have these greenways and drives, and they've been, kind of having kind of an activation, education time to distribute those flyers to bicycle riders and also to e-bike and e-scooter users about what the rules are and what the allowed vehicle types are.
Can you please send a copy of that flyer to the community board district office to use the prints?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, if there's an area, especially along your greenway up there, we can ask PEP to come and do one of their visits, just to, again, they're just basically telling visitors about the rules and, showing people which vehicles are allowed and which ones are not. So we could, make that, if they have, I don't have the list in front of me of what locations they've been to.
That's my question. Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, are all the greenways in Community Board 9 affected, or are there specific greenways where this pilot program is activated?
Sarah, I can jump in on that one. The only greenway in CB9 that is included in this is the Hudson River Greenway.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have a map on our website that shows all the other greenways, just if you wanted to kind of get a sense of where the allowed locations are. And we can send you that link after the meeting.
Is there a reason why there was no community outreach prior to this implementation?
So we had there was an announcement with the task force when they released their findings in about April, and then we alerted all of the community boards and also the elected officials in all of the citywide. And we also sent a follow-up around when we were launching our survey and sending out information about it. And I think some electeds kind of picked it up and put it in their email flyers and that kind of thing. But so we could follow up if, you know, if we wanted to check on where it went. It might have gotten lost in email, but we did send out to all the community boards and electeds.
We have another question in the audience. Go ahead, Liz, with your question.
Hi, thank you so much for coming today. I was actually the person who brought it up last month because it was news to me that e-bikes were going to be allowed on the Greenway and in Central Park, Prospect Park, which I realized that there are lots of different modes of transportation. But there are also, at the same time, there are people on their feet on these streets. There are people on skates. There are people on various different things with wheels. So I would say it's unclear to me. If you could just talk a little bit more about what are the rules? Are the rules posted either online or on either of these different types of avenues? And then if you could talk a little bit more about the data you're collecting, like what is the data and how are you collecting it?
Sure, yeah, I'll start about the rules. Mitchell will chime in because he knows them better. But the you know, basically in parks we have, like, you're right, there's a lot of different modes out there. People are jogging, people are riding bikes. You've got scooters, you've got kids on scooters, rollerblades, skateboards, you know, you name it. And so our overall park rule is about not creating a dangerous condition, right? You know, because sometimes if it's 6 a.m. and those people, you know, learning to race bike can go really fast in a park because no one else is there and they can get those practice loops in. But if they're going that fast at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you know, it's dangerous. And so it's a lot about kind of knowing the context. Mitchell, can you remind me of the sort of exact wording of that rule?
It's essentially like a reckless behavior or reckless endangerment is the rule on parks books. Like no operator of a bicycle or other device shall recklessly endanger another park patron.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. So so we, you know, I think if I'm hearing your point, I think, you know, you're right. There's a lot of vehicles and different types out there and we are adjusting to it. And that's why we're in this pilot, is to try to figure out, you know, are there other safety precautions that we want to be taking? Are there ways that we want to make any design changes that would help people to be safer, to behave more safely, and to feel more safe? There's a couple things going on that we're learning from right now. One of them is that Central Park is doing a study of their drives in Central, and they've got, you know, kind of a really robust kind of program there with traffic consultants, and they're trying to figure out, you know, if, you know, how to manage all the many users and all the different types in that park. And while it's just one park, it's, you know, some of the lessons that are going to be learned from that are going to be applicable in other settings. And so we're working really closely with them on that study to kind of see what they learn. You know, does it make sense to separate all the users into different lanes? Is it better to clump everybody? You know, what about a speed limit? Like all those types of questions. So that's underway. And they expect to finish that kind of report, you know, end of the year, early next year. And we'll have a lot, you know, we'll be learning from that as we go. As far as the data that we're collecting, what we did is a survey and it's online. It's actually not open right now, but we'll reopen it. So we'll make sure that you guys get the spring one. And it has two things. One is we're asking people a lot of questions about their park use now and how and their safety. Do you feel safe? What, you know, how often do you go? Like a lot of kind of baseline. And then we want to make sure people understand the rules. So we're asking, do you know about a greenway? What's a drive? You know, just kind of some of that. And then we're sneaking in a little education in the survey itself. So we're saying, do you know what a moped is? This is a moped, and some of those things, so that we're confirming, you know, if people did know or if they didn't. And if they didn't know, we're teaching them. And then we're trying to get a sense of what are they most concerned about? Is it, you know, other pedestrians? Is it bikes? Is it e-bikes? Sometimes it's just, you know, kids running all over the place and different things like that. So we are gathering that via a web-based survey. We also put up signs in the parks with the greenways and drives that had a QR code so that you could just do the survey, same survey, but like right there on the phone in your park. Otherwise, you might have gotten it over email, which we sent out through a lot of different channels, and we'll make sure we get to CB9. And so right now we're kind of crunching through that data. We got about 6,000 responses. And we're kind of trying to make sense of it right now, you know, with all that info coming in. I will say there's a lot of concern about e-bikes. And we are, you know, taking all that under advisement, and we're going to sort of pull it together and see if there's a better sense of education and safety, you know, later in the year, or if there hasn't been much change. That was a long answer, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all good. It's all good information. I guess, just two follow-up questions. Well, again, where are the rules posted anywhere, either electronically or in person? I think I'm specifically asking about in our district, so that would be along the Greenway. Are the rules posted, or is there a QR code that people can? That would be great, because honestly, I don't know what the difference is with the different types of various things. I do have wheels, but I propel myself.
Right.
Sorry, and then the other question is, are you tracking the number of people on the Greenway at any given time and the different types of mode of transportation that they are on, whether it's their feet or wheels at different parts of the day? I think that would be a great addition to your survey if you haven't already taken that on.
Those are great suggestions. For the first one, wait, what was the first question? It was.
Where are the rules posted?
Oh, the rules, yeah. So yeah, we don't have them really on the sign. I mean, just so I'm understanding, I mean, e-bikes should be following the same rules that a bicycle would follow, right? Like stay in the bike lane, don't take your bike on pedestrian paths.
Well, like,
is that what you're?
Well, like, you know, are you on a moped? Like, you're not supposed to be on here. Or if, you know, is there a speed limit?
Yes.
There is a speed limit in certain parts.
Got it. Okay. So we do have signs that say no, it says e-bikes and e-scooters only. So no mopeds. We're thinking of adding to that sign with an actual graphic that has the moped. We're sort of figuring that out with signage right now. So we do have those up. We don't have other rules. We've really struggled with the question about a speed limit. And the reason is what I was just describing, is that, you know, it's very context based. Sometimes 10 miles an hour is too fast. And sometimes, you know, you can, those Tour de France people can really get going, and it's not that big a deal at 5:30 in the morning. And
I can skate on my inlines just as fast as those bikers, but I don't do it when it's crazy.
Right, exactly. But if, you know, if there was a weird speed limit that said, you know, 10 and you want to get going super early, you know, it's, so that one we've demurred from taking on a specific speed limit for that reason. But instead we're leaning into what Mitchell was describing about this sort of like reckless endangerment, you know, like you're in a shared space with all different kinds of park users. Mitchell, chime in. I feel like I'm forgetting things.
No, I mean, you're covering everything pretty well, Sarah. I think just to the point about the signs that say like the signs that are actually posted in the parks that say like no motorized vehicles except electric bikes, electric scooters. That's what it currently says. Before the pilot, we just had some yellow signs that said no motorized vehicles, period. But those are not like ubiquitous in every single park, at every single entrance. They're kind of determined to be cited based on the local park administrators or the local park managers' determination if they think that there's particular areas where it's somewhat more problematic. So if you haven't seen them, that might be the case, but I can guarantee you they're out there. I also shared the link to the website where there's information about the rules for the pilot in the chat, which vehicles are allowed, which aren't, some definitions, and there's also an interactive map there. You can see which facilities in the parks across the city are actually a part of the pilot and which are not.
Thank you.
That way you can study up before you take our survey.
Yes. Now, will you please remember to send the survey link to the community board when it's up and running again?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that if whatever happened that you guys didn't hear about it. So we'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Any other questions regarding the micromobility program? Okay, no other thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thanks for
coming
your
today.
patience with us. I know we know it's a lift for people. You know, we realize everyone is adjusting to this. So thanks for your patience and working with us as we figure out the best approach here.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
Elizabeth, thank you for your patience. Let's see, Elizabeth, I think you have some slides. I'm going to make you co-host so that you can present, so that you can share your screen. If you're still here.
Actually, I'm not sure if I actually don't have any slides, but the two artists who will be sharing information about their work are here, and it would be great if they could have the ability to share slides.
Oh, provide me with the names, please.
Sure, we have Sophie Kahn, who I see here, and Marco Pali, who's also here.
Sophie Kahn,
and Marco.
Okay.
So, and I was just going to start off with just some general information.
Yes, please, Elizabeth.
Great. So I think the last time I was here was in June. But for those of you who weren't at that meeting, I'm Elizabeth Masella. I'm the Senior Public Art Coordinator at NYC Parks, and I oversee the Art in the Parks program, which permits temporary public art exhibitions citywide. All projects that come through our program are funded by the artist. We unfortunately don't have any funding from the city, but we do work closely with artists to find locations for their artworks and make sure that they're meeting our requirements, such as general liability insurance, certain benchmarks of safety, site suitability, durability, etc. Some recent projects we brought to you in June are in Morningside Park, which you've probably seen by now. There's the two pieces in the pond, which actually Matt alerted me that a few of them with the sudden rise and fall of the pond water have kind of toppled over, and I'm working with the artists to upright those again. We also have Brad mentioned Susan Stair's piece in Morningside Park as well. And also Faces of Harlem is still on view till the end of November. So please check those out. Tonight I am here with some partners in an exhibition with the Art Students League. You may remember in 2019, we had what was then known as the Model to Monument program, and that included 3 artworks in Riverside Park North at 145th. Those were on view from 2019 to 2020. After a few years off, including a pandemic, Art Students League has revived that program, now known as Works in Public. And we're excited to bring 2 more works back to 145th. As part of this same program, we do have two artworks currently on view in Riverside Park South by artists Helen Draves and Susan Meredith Markowitz, or Markowitz Meredith. Sorry. So those are on view. So this is meant to revive the program. Before I turn it over to the artists Sophie and Marco to just share some visuals and information on the background of their artworks, I don't know if our partners at Art Students League, I see Hakuo Lee and Natsuki Takauji there, or also our partners at Riverside Park Conservancy. I know Whitney Dearden is here as well. If either of you had wanted to add anything generally about the program before we jump into the artworks.
I think you made a great introduction to the program already, so I think it's not necessary for me to see, but I'm Hakuo Lee, and the person next to me is Natsuki Takauji. We are running the program called the WIP of the Art Students League. It's an exclusive public sculpture program in partnership with the New York City Department of Park and Recreation. And the program started in 2010. At the time, the location of the sculpture was Riverside Park South, which located in between 59th Street and 72nd Street, I believe. And then after 7 years of running from 2010 to 2017, we relocated our showcase location in Riverside Park North, which is on 145th Street. And unfortunately, after 1 year of exhibition, in a new first year of exhibition in a newer location, we COVID hit, and then we had to halt the program for a long time, and then we resumed under the different name, which is WIP, stand for working public. And the biggest difference of this program now is before we were having this opportunity only for the Art Students League students. Now we are opening the opportunity to all New York City-based artists. So anybody stationed in the New York City can apply for the program, and we annually select 4 artists for the program, and then 2 sculptures are installed in Riverside Park South, and then 2 sculptures are installed in Riverside Park North. So we are here now to present 2 artists who's going to install their sculpture at the location on Riverside Park South, Riverside Park North on 145th Street this year. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first artist, Sophie Khan. Go, Sophie.
Sorry. So can people see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, hi everybody. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be showing my work in the park. I've been a sculptor for 20 years, but this is my first major public outdoor commission, so really super exciting for me. This is my piece. This is my rendering of it actually at the site. It's called Portrait of Tea. This is 59 inches tall, so it is a life-size cast silicone bronze sculpture. And this is a portrait of a real person that I actually 3D scanned in my studio with a laser scanner and then cast. And finally, it's going to be plated in nickel, so it's going to be a kind of silvery color. And this is me standing at the site. People, obviously, you all know this park. It's about halfway between the tree and this dock that extends into the water. So just a little brief intro. I don't want to keep everybody here late tonight. The way that my work is made is with this device. This is me scanning somebody with a 3D laser scanner, and it captures an image of their face. It's like a photograph, but in 3 dimensions. and that yields a 3D model. A lot of the craft in my work is digital sculpting, 3D printing, and then fabrication. So this started as a real person, went into the digital world, came back as a sculpture into the material world, but with a lot of steps along the way. So my work is really fragmented. I often have these human bodies with these voids and holes. A lot of it is about ways that technology really misunderstands the human body. So I'm really interested in ways that technology kind of fails, but also really the beauty and the poetry of that. And I think it's really relevant now, especially the way our lives are incredibly distributed through technology, through the internet. We're all here, obviously, like our images are being dematerialized through the internet. So that's, I'm sort of interested in the body. This particular series is about people who've undergone life-altering physical transformations. And I put out a call to members of the public. I had so many responses. I had 9/11 survivors, cancer survivors, people who'd had heart attacks, people who'd lost 100 pounds with weight loss surgery. All of these individuals have these really beautiful and unique stories. And so this work is one piece in a much larger body of work of sculptural portraits, all of New Yorkers, all who came into my studio and posed and told me their life story. This particular one depicts Tiger West, who's a Brooklyn-based performance artist and musician. And these are just a few more close-ups of the sculpture in the renderings that I can just skip through. Again, it's life-size. They're actually quite a petite individual, so the piece is kind of 5 foot tall. And I'm particularly interested in showing anonymous figures and kind of, because a lot of public art is tributes to heroes, it's war monuments, it's remembering kind of famous individuals, I want my piece to be much more private, much more emotional and reflective, and maybe give people that moment of kind of pause and reflection too when they encounter this figure in the park. So a couple of the installation shots, it's going to be sitting on these 2 steel tubes. We have gone over all the logistics. We made sure it's not going to trap any water. It's not going to trap leaves as much as possible. This is the piece shown to scale. And then I've got a little sneak preview because it has already been cast, and right now it's sitting in Huxell's studio, almost ready to go into the ground. Yeah, so that is where I'm at. And we're talking public programming, obviously, for the site. I would love to have members of the local community come and pose and also be 3D scanned. So having my artwork there also kind of invites people to come into my practice, and then maybe they themselves could wind up being in a statue, you know, next year or the year after. So it's not just me presenting the work, it's also presenting an opportunity to come and kind of be a part of the flow of that art process too. So yeah, I will stop my share there. Thank you so much, everybody.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sophie.
Awesome.
That's really interesting.
Before it's Mark's turn, I realized one key piece of information is when these will be installed. There's some moving parts. We are looking to see them installed later this month, and they'll be on view through May. So just to throw that out there as well.
Okay, Marco, are you ready to share?
Yes, can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. All right. Can you guys see my presentation?
It's loading. It's coming on the screen.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, everybody, to Elizabeth, to Natsuki, Haxul, and everybody behind making this possible and creating opportunities for artists to show their work.
Elizabeth, if the screen share is a problem, I can also share as well.
Oh,
So
it
let me
looks like it's
say that-
working.
Yeah. But maybe he froze.
Marco?
Okay, Marco, I can screen share if that's better for you.
Marco, I think you might be on mute. And if it's possible, Heather,
not-
to give Natsuki screen sharing, just since we seem to be having technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. So it seems that it's not sharing then.
Yeah, if you can give me a permission to share, I can share his PDF.
Okay,
let's-
let's try
let-
one more time.
I'll
Can you
try
see
one
it
more
fine?
time to make sure. You are a co-host currently, yeah. So, okay, there you are.
It's happening.
All right. All right.
And I removed Sophie, and maybe that will help.
Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
And just one thing, if you could email me both of your presentations, so that we can get it to the person who's taking the minutes. So
Sure,
if
can you
you-
just put that email in the chat, please, and I can send it right now.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Very well. May I continue?
Yes.
So the name of my monument is Our Gates. And here we have an AR rendering in which you can change.
Marco, let me share the screen because I think your internet is kind of slow there. And can you unmute yourself?
Sure. I didn't know I was having problems with the internet, but yes, please share the.
Who is the person that needs to share? Is it, the name? That's okay.
Here you go.
All right. If you could just scroll, I could narrate as we go. Oh, okay. So we see here is the original proposal for the monument. I think that, okay, so in here we can appreciate the location for the monument on Riverside Park North. Yes, you guys, you know where this is. So technically, the work consists on a sheet of metal that has been treated in a way that when it's processed, there's no leftover. Thinking of ecology and trying to invite people to consider working in a manner that they don't produce offcuts and things that will end up in the garbage. So at the beginning, the proposal was all about thinking that something that mattered to me as an immigrant, as maybe other people in the community, when they are native-born Americans, because they might have a relationship with people who have come to this country and found opportunities. So basically the design unfolded in a way that creates two arcs as two open doors that could be understood as an entrance and also an exit for people to define their own sense of freedom. Please, if you could continue, Natsuki. So this is an AR rendering of the proposal as how it would look in the park. And again, the purpose of this monument was to celebrate what's happening in New York City and the United States in general, in the way that there's more opportunities for people to fight for their dreams and pursue their happiness. It's not just a select group of people. And I felt that if my project would be approved, would itself symbolize that it is true that it doesn't matter where you're coming from, that you could come over and pursue your dreams. And fortunately, the project was accepted, and it has been through the process of the eye of the needle reviewed and seen by the engineers, and ultimately we're making it a reality. So in here we see some renderings that were used to design and study how it would be made safe, and that some renders of the foundation. And these are a few of the experimental models, and in which we explore possibilities of how to make it in reality, because there is a big difference between an artist working in their studio and an artist making a really full life-size monument, for which I would be needing the support of this program. And again, in this presentation, we see the little details that go through the process of creating the monument, like thinking of color, what would be white and not red, and or green or brown. Please, if you can continue. Yes, one of the concerns would be like graffiti. How could we avoid that? And after further discussions, we consider using a material that, in case of anything happen, it could be easily restored. One of the challenges was to think, besides the making of the monument safe, how it would be easy to transport under the requirements of New York City DOT. And we finally got to the conclusion that the best way to do the monument would be with a limited height of 10 feet tall. Yeah, and here we see more renderings where we can get an idea of how we did calculations to erect the monument before we made it, and how heavy it would be and how tall it would need to be. Of course, thinking of safety, we got the design to go through engineering, and there were several meetings that allowed us to consider every possibility, including installation and how it would be safe to walk through, because the piece evidently is not just for the criticism and being seen from the outside. People could walk through it. Yeah, if you continue, please. Yeah, so if it's necessary to restore the soil, we would be using some additional material to make sure that the ground is safe for walking. But we estimate that just having grass on top of the foundation would be sufficient. Yeah, and here on we could see just different angles of the original proposal. We're thinking that this monument would capture the attention of the public, and we would like to see them interact in a higher level. So we are thinking of planning some events in which people could come over and do some poetry, some singing, and perhaps some theater. All of these will be under subject for approval and scheduling. And in here, there's just like a little drawings, little samples of how it would look with people around it. But it was ultimately, we think that the monument is ultimately designed to elevate the park itself, and is an investment for the public to celebrate our community. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I see one question in the chat, which if I'm able to, I'm happy to answer that. If that's okay with you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a question in the chat about signage. All temporary public art exhibitions in city parks are offered an official green parks fiberboard sign. And we can produce those in English and Spanish. So those will accompany the artworks. We can also include a brief description, as well as a URL linking to a website with more information about the piece. So that's definitely something we can do.
And that particular sculpture, did I see seating as part of the sculpture itself or no?
The answer is no.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Then Sophie and Marco, thank you so much. And again, just repeat the dates of when the exhibit will be up and ending.
So right now, October, we're happy to send you an update when we have solid dates, but there's just, you know, with large sculpture, there's always some moving pieces. So, when we have the exact dates, we're happy to share that. And then they'll be up through, May, I believe, if that's correct. Not, Huxwell.
And this is Riverside Park at West 145th Street,
Yeah, just below Riverbank.
just below
Oh.
Riverbank.
The most updated schedule will be like, because we are still in a conversation with the contractor for the groundwork. So the aiming time we have is by end of this month, we're going to install the sculpture, but it's not rock solid. And the ending of exhibition will be actually in August next year. So it will be
End of August.
End of August. So
Or artists.
it will be sometime in October through end of August next year.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
I just
much.
wanted to say thank you for being here and sharing your artwork with our community. It's exciting to see that come here.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So much. We're super excited to be a part of all
For
of
this
this.
great opportunity.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody. Bye.
So I did place my email address in the chat, so if you could please email me the presentations and then I'll make sure I get it out to the committee members. Thank you so much.
I am going to email Sophie and Marco's presentation files.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry, I don't actually see that email in the chat. Sorry.
I don't see email, but Sophie, I'm gonna send your PDF to them.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
So next on the agenda, we just want to quickly go through the budgeting process, the prioritization of our capital and expense budget, and seek community involvement in terms of what things you would like to see on the capital and expense budget for next year. We got a lot of good input last year, especially from our friends groups. So if you haven't already, please email me and send pictures like you did before. Any suggestions for this process? And I'm just going to briefly take you through some of the items that we received before. I think, let's see if I'm able to do this. These are all the agency contacts. Just to give you an idea of for people who don't know what capital budgets are and some of the things that we've requested before. Like for an example right here, this is for St. Nicholas Park Playground, but most of these, it was recommended that this request be brought to the attention of our elected officials. And this was to provide funds for and to renovate the St. Nicholas Park Playground. All right, and if anyone has any comments, just stop me. I'm just gonna, as quickly as I can, go through some of our prior requests. And then please, committee members, community members, please send in your requests of what it is that you'd like to have included in the budgeting, a capital budget, as well as expense budget process priorities for next year. So also in here, St. Nicholas Park, again, Friends of St. Nicholas Park, this is to reconstruct the staircase at St. Nicholas Park. And again, this was requested that we bring this to the attention of our elected officials. Miss Karen, are you still on?
who puts the budget response? Who puts that in?
Yeah, we have to get the, oh, and just as I think I may have put it on the agenda, we're having a public hearing on October 17th for the full year 25 district needs assessment and prioritization of the capital and expense budget requests. So please, within the next week, if you could, kindly email myself or Annette any suggestions that you have for capital or expense budgets for part of this process, please get it to us as soon as possible. And so that we can present the information at the public hearing that will occur on October 17th at 6:30 p.m. So, and if there are any other requests, please, you can bring it to our attention now. But I'm just going to quickly go through what for 24, some of the items that we requested and what the responses were. At Riverside Park, we requested the reconstruction of the 148th Street steps. And again, they came back as recommended that we bring this to the attention of our elected officials. Same as the public comfort stations at Morningside Park and St. Nicholas Park, the Audubon Park and West Harlem Piers Park. Again, the comfort stations, same response. And this was to reconstruct or upgrade the Alexander Hamilton Playground at Hamilton Place. Same response, elected officials. I'm going to try to quickly just go through some of these so that people can start thinking. If you see around the community, any of our parks, any of our community gardens, please submit your request for funding. This is funds to complete the rebuilding of stairs at 133rd Street and St. Nicholas Park, and 140th and 129th Street. And same as here. This is for the stairs at Morningside Park. That's at 114th Street and 122nd Street. This project was already funded. And I'm going to keep going just to, as we were tasked to do this. Oh, Ewan, I see your hand raised. I'm going to, and there are some items, I think, regarding your project on the expense side, but I'm going to quickly go through what I.
No, this is about the budget.
Yes, this is about, if it's a capital budget, right now we're doing capital, when we get to expense.
No, it's capital. But
Okay.
yeah.
So, and then write your note in the chat. I'm
Okay.
gonna get through this and then I'm gonna take hands, but
Okay.
I'm almost done.
All right,
And
thank you.
this was to provide funds for sidewalk and pathway replacement in and around the playgrounds and athletic courts. Further study of the agency was required for this one. Let's see, page 12. Let's see. Oh, this one was perceived as not being a budget request. Funds for renovation and repair of roof in the interior of Wilson Major Morris Center. So, and then Jacob Schiff this one was another one recommended for our public elected officials. This was funding to renovate the Jacob Schiff Playground on Amsterdam Avenue. And so the idea is just to get so that you have an idea of what some capital budgets we previously did, so that you can send a request for new funds, capital budget funds. This one was the kayak launch at West Harlem Piers Park that was damaged by Superstorm Sandy. This one was already funded. 17 is continue funding to provide lighting along the bike paths as well as other safety measures along Riverside Park, the waterfront, the bike path from 110th Street to Claire's Place and Cherry Walk. Further study is requested. Then page 20. The rebuilding of stairs at 133rd Street at St. Nicholas Park, 140th and 129th Street. This request was already partially funded, and then the sidewalks, the north and southbound corridor of Riverside Drive and Grant's Tomb. This one was recommended additional attention from elected officials. Now I think we're getting into the expense. Okay, Ewan, go ahead with your comment or question for capital. Ewan?
Hang on, I can't type. I was typing and I don't type fast enough.
That's okay. But we want to hear you, Ewan. Go ahead.
All right, I have a question first. The tree surrounds the sidewalk pavement and Belgian blocks that are heaving from the tree roots, and Amsterdam Avenue, the entire length of Amsterdam Avenue, and on some of the side blocks, they're just in disrepair and poor condition, and also present a trip hazard. So I'm planning to write a letter as well and copy the community board, and also would love to see that placed in as a request, a budget request item for next year. But I don't know who is responsible.
I think that may come under expense. The pavement, the tree roots, well, the pavement, I guess, would be capital.
Yeah, because it's a big, it's a big project.
But I see, tree pruning, okay, yeah.
I'm more concerned not about the pruning so much at this point, but more concerned about the sidewalk and the Belgian blocks that surround the tree, the tree bed.
Are these on the streets or are they within the parks?
On the street.
Okay. So on the streets, it may be the homeowners, but around, I know that when we put in the resolution for 1 million more trees, we did ask for funding for sidewalks that were damaged due to tree roots. So we need to follow up and see whether or not we're going to be able to include something like that in the budget. Okay.
All right.
So, because they do cause tripping hazards, so we will definitely add this one to the budget.
And along the commercial corridor,
Right, we specifically asked for that because that's not a norm. It's generally, the city provides funding for sidewalk repair for for 1 and 2 or maybe 3 families, but we asked in landmarks areas that they also provide funding for commercial districts as well as mixed use, residential up to 4 family and mixed use up to 4 family.
Okay.
So we'll ask to put that in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good catch. Thank you so much, Ewan.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we just have a few more capital budget examples. Let's see. We were.
Is there a website that they can go to and be using?
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it should be online, right? Yeah.
It's online. We did get an email and, but it just, yeah.
I didn't see it, but they should, I mean, you went through some of them.
Yeah.
Those that are concerned, if they don't have ideas of their own, they should be able to find the same information online.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, and it will be emailed, or I think it should have been emailed out to the community board today, what we've done in the past, but I'm just asking everyone to please put in your request, submit it to us, and to make you aware of where the hearing date is. So, so that we know. I mean, there was a item here, for an example, for the Landmarks Preservation Commission. This was to add funds for the historical study of West Harlem between West 135th Street and West 155th Street to determine the merits of that historic district. And OMB was in support of that, and that's something that Ewan has taken the lead on. So they did see that as a viable expense item. And then there's just two more. For park safety is another one. Their fiscal constraints regarding that, adding more security staff, and then the tree pruning, which I mentioned before. So I'm going to stop sharing. So were there any other expense or capital budgeting requests from the community? Okay, so moving right along with the agenda, we will then, Ewan, if you have an update regarding the West Harlem Historic District.
A brief update.
Okay.
Most of you may know the community board and the community have been trying to get LPC to move on a request for evaluation on the West Harlem Historic District, which runs from 135th to 155th, Amsterdam to Riverside. It's been at least 2.5 years since that request was made by the West Harlem Community Preservation Organization and supported by MCB9. Well, we finally got an answer from them, an answer in terms of the status of the request. And they've completed the research phase and now want to meet with the community members of the community to review the research, and also I assume to talk about their proposed boundaries. So this meeting will take place on October 16th, and Heather, Barry, and Liz, and John Reddick and myself will be at that preliminary meeting to review the research. So we're, it's been a long time coming, but I'm somewhat excited that we are actually beginning the process. And we'll have more to report after the meeting on October 16th.
Excellent.
That's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, is Brad still on?
No, I think
he left, okay.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, and Brad, I was also thinking that maybe, you may want to give us a brief write-up so that we can add the 1968 gymnasium protest marker at Morningside Park.
Yes.
As a expense item.
Yes, I will do that. I did write up a draft of a reso back in June. I can resend that to you, Heather. But I would like something to come out of the committee requesting, requesting a marker there from Parks.
Okay, and do you just want to give like a two or three sentence overview of what that is so that people know know what that is about?
Right. So, yeah, if you don't know, in Morningside Park, we have a beautiful pond, which is filled with algae right now, but we're working on that. And that pond is not original to the park. That pond was created in the excavation pit of a failed project by Columbia University to build a gymnasium in Morningside Park in 1968. So we would like to commemorate the fact that there were community and student protesters that stopped that project. We think everyone that passes by that point should really be cognizant of the amazing history there and the amazing community effort which stopped that project. So that's the basic background. In terms of the language for the plaque, I mean, Parks has a whole department that works on historical signs. So I would hope that they would work with us in coming up with that language and come up with a sign.
Okay, thank you so much, Brad. So we're getting to the end of our agenda. If there's an update, Dan, if you have anything for RPA Hamilton Theater?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to try to contact Ashkenazi Acquisition Corporation, in part because West Harlem Development Corporation has expressed interest in trying to acquire the theater. There are three parts: the theater, the corner, which is the lobby building, and then there's an empty lot on 147th. Right now, West Harlem Development Corporation is just only talking about just the theater. They would prefer to acquire everything, but I think first steps first. Ashkenazi, or let's call them AAC, so I don't have to keep saying such a long name, has many bigger fish to fry. They're dealing with financial fallout from the interest rate spike, and they have been, shall we just say, intermittently responsive. And I've been in touch with staff, we've talked a little bit, and then like a month will go by, no one returns my phone calls. So we are trying to move it forward, but it has been extremely slow going, but not for lack of trying. Related but separate, the chair reached out to me about the scaffolding, how it's become a bit run down and unsightly. And I would say almost the same response, that we have tried to contact the ownership about, I guess now, many things, and their response rate has been poor. No further comments.
Excellent.
Happy to answer questions.
Okay. And then I think the last thing on the agenda, Sugar Hill Garden Park and Edgecombe Avenue Garden Park Sanctuary. Do you want to provide an update? Nora, Nina, or Annette?
Well, Nora and Nina are on. They probably, if they have something to add, there are concerns with both gardens. We were able, myself and you, to visit the gardens on Tuesday. There are concerns of oversight and accountability. They are stewards of Edgecombe Gardens, and we want to make sure that we reach out to Green Thumbs for them to do a presentation. Is also, we want to establish some dialogue between the regional director and the two of them as stewards, just to go over the guidelines for the maintenance of the park and their stewardship. And we're in the works of reaching out to Green Thumb as well as their regional director in Jindu. But it was good to see them both on Tuesday, I believe it was, in the park, so the bugs bit me. We had a good conversation that was also attended by a representative from Al Taylor's office. So Nora and Nina, if you have something to add briefly, have at it. It's 8:22 and we're almost making our 8:30 cutoff.
Briefly, we were just happy that we were able to meet, and happy to meet Heather and Annette and Zoya from Al Taylor's office. And we felt encouraged and supported, and we're looking forward to getting some results to our issues.
And then I just want to briefly just mention the Columbia University CBA, the Community Benefits Agreement. We've spoken about this. There are quite a number of elements within the CBA that our particular committee could benefit from. Last year, Hugo, are you still on the call? Volunteer to kind of take leadership in overseeing the CBA. Will you still be able to support us in that role this year, Hugo? Is he on?
I didn't see a Hugo on here, and if he was on earlier, maybe, but at this time, he's not.
Okay, all right, so at least we spoke about it for the record. He's offline. Okay, and then is there anything else that I've missed that someone can see that I've missed that we need to address? And then maybe Annette, if you want to make a mention about sending the community board as general.
As a committee, there'll be an email that'll go out if we can meet in person on Zoom to discuss the upcoming budget and what are you guys looking forward to happening on the committee? And we appreciate it if everyone would attend or participate.
We're thinking about
October the 11th.
Next Wednesday for committee members, just for us to meet briefly. We haven't really met the new members and given them an opportunity to express what their interests are and how they want to participate in moving the needs of the community forward in this committee. So if we can just ask for about an hour of your time, and I know we have a lot of meetings and maybe it won't have to be that long so that we can try to, as a committee, get together and knock out what we have to do in terms of the budget process, get to know one another and try to figure out what your interests are so that you feel included, so there's inclusivity, and then we can meet the needs of the community.
Not to be crass, is this a virtual meeting or an in-person?
It can be either or. Virtual.
Virtual's a little bit,
easier.
might be a little easier.
So is that a request for a Zoom meeting, Mr. Cohen?
It is a request, although I have to check with my family about that time period.
Yeah, but if it's virtual, if it's easier for people, then I
It
can
is
second
easier.
that. Yeah.
Forum is not required, then I would.
No, of course, no, but I would hope, because this
You know, I'm
is
trying
just,
to be helpful.
this is
I
just
got you.
committee members only. We haven't had a chance really to introduce or to get to know the new members. And so that we can start, working on, getting things moving for our community. And then we have a guest here today. Could you, just please just say briefly who you are? We just have a couple of minutes.
Yes, I'm Jana Renstrom from the COTA Alliance. We're a new organization up on at 43 St. Nicholas Place, on the 2nd Street. An organization, a nonprofit for gender equality and women's empowerment. And I'm just here to learn about what you guys do, because we do have some plans for renovations of the building, which will require input from our committee. But it's not ready yet, and maybe I can talk to you a little bit afterwards.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. So she knows she has a project that has to come before our community that will require landmark commission hearing. So she'll bring the property to this committee to get a letter of support and helpful insight on what she needs in order to get through that process.
And also, if I may, just invite everybody, if you're free tomorrow night, we have the opening of an art exhibit at COTA, which is called The Face of Justice. There are 14 women artists from West Harlem that have been chosen to exhibit their work there.
Maybe if you had something you could email to the chair, she could certainly.
It's actually been going around a lot.
Oh, great.
From the Arts and Culture Committee.
Terrific.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. And you can
Sounds
register, but
familiar.
you don't really have to either. You can just come. Hopefully we'll get in everybody through the door.
And what time is it?
It's from 6 to 8.
Okay, and with
And
that,
it's open all of October. So you can
I was gonna say, how long is the exhibit?
Yeah, it's through the month of October. Okay. Wednesday through Sunday. Let's check our website. So you can come. So,
Thank you.
So can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:28?
Thank you, everyone who attended online. We hope to
Thank
see
you.
you guys next month.
Was there a second? to
Second.
adjourn? Okay. All right, at 8:28, we did well this month.
All right.
Thank you. And
Thank you for the mint.
Of course, Dan, you think I don't love you. I love you.
A love is returned double.
I love you.
Good to see you.
You know.
Nice to meet you in person. I feel like I have never actually seen you. If I